Welcome back to Switched to Linux. No video today, just because no video of me, of course. There's a video. Duh, we're watching it. Inception. But I was having issue with the camera actually giving me full screen on the system, and so I'm just not going to mess with that right now. But I want to show off my new Debian build. So we are running this on simple screen recorder. I have my Meteor mic plugged right in here. And I wanted to do something a little bit different with this install, so I'm experimenting with docks. I'm not a huge fan of docks, but particularly if they're on the bottom. Mostly it's because I want to be able to keep track of what's where with a taskbar. And so I wanted to go ahead and build out this Debian build. Of course, this is my Debian that actually runs 4 desktop environments now, 3 of your basic ones. We're on KDE right now, and that's the only one we're going to look at. Also, Cinnamon is running just fine. Matea is running just fine. The other one, of course, is Kodi is on here, and that does technically add a desktop environment, which you can toggle between the desktop environment and the windowed mode by hitting the / key on the keyboard. So what I just want to do is just show off the build here, talk a little bit about this and my experience with Debian as a media PC over the last few days. I built this out on Saturday, and I've been using it ever since. So it's a very nice build. It's a very nice clean desktop. Of course, I went with the KDE. Mostly I'm just experimenting with different desktop environments. Now, as far as running a computer with multiple different desktop environments, I think you really need a specialized reason to do that. I really have not found a reason why I'd want to log out of KDE and go into Cinnamon. And so in retrospect, or if you're thinking about doing the same thing, it's a neat, novel idea that on my load up screen, I can go in and I can log in under multiple different desktop environments, and they're all completely different with different themes and whatever else. But at the same time, it's kind of fairly pointless, I'll say. Not that it's a bad build. It's just that I wanted to make sure that that I had a system that worked, and I'm just kind of experimenting with this. And so I really wanted to see what is the real advantage of running one desktop environment over another in this situation. And there's really not, I mean, like I said, not much of a difference. On KDE, of course, I'm using the Oxygen theme, very nice skeuomorphic 3D-like design. I really like this theme, and so I decided to run that as my main theme. You'll see I put in this is a Cairo dock over here, and I'm using the Chrome theme on the Cairo dock. Now, if you are familiar with the Cairo dock, and particularly the Chrome theme, you will notice that some of my icons are a little bit different. I did not like some of them, like Chromium. There's no Chrome theme desktop icon for Chromium. There's actually not one for Conqueror. There's not one for Kodi. And the one for Thunderbird is the same exact one as for Evolution, like all email apps have the same one. But I wanted to have 2 different email clients on here because I use Evolution as my primary business client, but I use Thunderbird for anything that's like my my junk accounts or my client accounts that require me to have Google accounts or whatever else. Anything that IMAPs in, I run on Thunderbird. Anything that is a business type email address goes through Evolution. You can see everything else that we have here. So what I did for these icons is I went into the folder where the Cairo dock happens to be. And so if you load up your home folder, hold Alt and period on KDE will give you the individual hidden files. So go into Cairo dock, and what I wanted to do is I wanted to drop the icons both in the current theme and under themes Chrome. So I installed several different themes just to play with them and see which ones I liked. But what you'll see is inside of the theme file, you'll see icons. You'll see each of these guys are various SVG files, and which are opening in GIMP for some reason. Okay, they're opening in GIMP. There you go. So you can see what that looks like. Go ahead and close GIMP out if I can. Close GIMP. Thank you, GIMP. Let me find, so Chromium was one of the ones that I had built. Let me just open this with something else. Let's just go with Image Viewer. All right, so here you can see what I actually built for the Chromium one. So if there is no icon for the Chrome in the Cairo dock theme, it will use the system default. And the system default for this is this icon here. So if you can imagine, this icon here looks a little out of place. And so I wanted to know how I could rebuild these icons. And so what I ended up doing is just creating a file that I dropped into Documents, and it's an XCF file, excuse me, to open in GIMP. So it's a layered GIMP file. And I just took the Firefox one and started with that. And so basically all it has is the black bar around it. And then what I do is just go onto the internet, grab whatever theme I want. I think this actually came from a t-shirt design somebody had. And then you just scale it down to size, about 185 pixels on this guy. Now, there's no way to save it directly as an SVG in GIMP at least not without installing an extra plugin. It's not an option. So I was saving them as a TIFF, and the reason I went with a TIFF icon is because the TIFFs are one of the formats of the very high resolution images that a printing shop would use. And so I exported it as a TIFF, and then I imported the TIFF into Illustrator into Inkscape, and then Inkscape outputs the files in the SVG format. And then you just had to drop them down where they are, and then come over here and edit this. You just want to edit the launcher. Let's see. I think we just hit the configure over here. Go under your current items, and then grab this guy, and then you can come over here, and the image's name or path, it's first going to look for anything in the current theme for the Cairo dock, and then if it can't find that, then it's going to use the system default. And so that's what I did. I went online and I grabbed what I thought were the coolest looking icons I could for Thunderbird, which is actually a little hatching. You can see it's a little hatching chicken there. The Firefox, I used the Firefox eating the Internet Explorer logo. I used this nice 3D Chrome, and I used this nice 3D Conqueror. Of course, the Cody came from that t-shirt. So I built out my Cairo dock with this format. The only thing I'd like to do different, I could not get figured out. I haven't dug through all the CSS files and whatever else. I'd like to get rid of this white border. If anybody can help me get rid of that white border on this, that'd be cool. It's not super bad, but I like this. And of course, I put the dock on the right side. I first had it on the top. I didn't want it on the bottom because it interferes with my taskbar, which I really wanted to keep. And I like the taskbar on the bottom. I first put it on the top, but I really was losing real estate because as I load up a program and maximize it, I have the dock set to leave the extra room for the dock. And so I really was losing, about an inch of space on the top of the screen for the dock. And so what I wanted to do then is I was like, well, putting it on the left side kind of interfered with the fact that I wanted the calendar and the weather over here, and so I threw it on the right side so that it's just kind of still there. Very nice, very useful. I put the most commonly used applications I have on the dock, and then anything else I can just come in here and search for it in here. So the Windows Meta key works to pull up my my menu, so that's not a problem. The things that I installed Cifs Utilities, which allowed me to make connections in the fstab to my various share folders on my NAS drive. And that way, when you come in and come into your home folder, you'll see that I have my videos, my sermons, my music, and my Christian video on my already patched in here. So then if I load up Cody, then I can just go right on in and listen to anything that I have on my central media server. And so that is a nice system. I've not actually done with setting up just a basic music player yet. I'm not sure if I'm going to use Rhythmbox or Clementine or whatever else. I don't know. Well, let me see what music player is actually installed on here. I don't even know. Let's see, multimedia. We got I got Juke, I got Rhythmbox, I got the basic videos, which comes from the Cinnamon install, I think. You'll notice I did install pulse audio volume control. I was trying to resolve one of the issues. I'll get into my issues in a minute, but yeah, I'll get the issues in a minute. The next thing with Debian is it does not have a way to get your number lock loaded on default. So I installed the number lock X, which allows me to go ahead and put in some number locks in there, and that way, you know, I like my number lock being turned on without me having to turn it on. So I resolved all those basic issues. Now the only other issue that I was having is that, and I think that this isn't necessarily as much to do with the Debian as much as it was where I initially installed it. I initially installed this on the other computer, and that has an AMD R7 graphics card, but this computer here has an integrated AMD integrated A8 5500, and it was not, basically I was getting an error message that's, you know, it wasn't loading up the graphics drivers appropriately, which, you know, certainly to be expected, absolutely to be expected, because, you know, I really loaded the thing up and it loaded up the graphics drivers properly the first time for the other computer. And so if I'd go in and play a video on Chromium, it was a little bit, jolty there. So what I wanted to do instead is, let's see, let me find one of my videos so I don't get some copyright strike for playing something else. All right, so now you can, hey, I'm running ads. Okay. Sure, I'm not getting volume right now. Maybe you're getting it on my thing instead. But you can see that the video is running very smooth, and that was an issue that I resolved. Load this up, make sure you're still hearing me. All right. Not sure I'm usually get the audio. That's possibly because I'm recording. Maybe you came through on the video. So that worked. The other thing is I was noticing Kodi would work if it was in the Kodi environment, but it would not work if I had minimized it to window mode. It just wouldn't work well. So I went through a series of instructions to install the AMD A8 graphics card. Once I did that, I mean, the whole thing just went instantly way smoother, way more responsive. I'd say that this guy here is more responsive than my other KDE. Just funny because my other one is on an internal SSD. This one's running off a USB drive. So it is very nice, very snappy. I'll have to load into Cinnamon now that I got the graphics card installed and see if Cinnamon runs better. But you can see everything does run very nice. It's a very nice build. Now onto my problems. Of course, I did have the initial problem with the graphics card, which is resolved. I can throw that sticky note away. That's resolved. The one problem I'm still having is there are times when the volume is totally maxing out. So if I go over and open up Kodi, for example, the volume will completely max out. Right now the volume's about half, which is where I want it. If I load up Kodi, it just maxes all the way. And so what I did is, you know, anytime I load up Kodi, I have to remember just play the volume. And then that kind of, you know, and then if I change videos, it maxes the volume out again. Now, the same thing happened on Chrome and Firefox. It was doing that. I ran a pulse audio volume control set. And with the terminal, I forget exactly what the command was. I looked it up online, and that was one of the solutions. And it worked for Chromium. It worked for Firefox. But Conqueror, last time I tried to play something with Conqueror, I'd have the volume set right. As soon as it switched to an ad, boom, reset the volume to max, and all of a sudden this advertising is screaming at me. And so I stopped using Conqueror pretty quick because of that. If anybody knows how to resolve that one, that is still a known issue. But those are, I mean, really, I haven't had a lot of issues. Debian is a great system. It is certainly not a system for a beginner. There's a lot of fixes I had to do through the terminal. It's it's a very good, it's a very stable system. It is built on a lot more of a security and privacy framework than Linux Mint. So Linux Mint, of course, is my favorite. But the reason Linux Mint works so well is it has all the drivers there to work so well. I still want to do some more video testing, watching some more videos on this now that I fixed the graphics driver, make sure it works. I've not observed the blipping that I see in the videos and the audios that I was seeing in my Linux Mint KDE install. So I'm still running the same desktop environment, but I'm not getting that same stuttering, so that's better. The only thing I really need to do is resolve that the volume issue. Everything else is working very well. I like the setup. I like the clean skeuomorphic. I like the icon pack. And the icon pack, by the way, I'm using, I think it's called Oxygen Remixed. I was just looking for an icon pack that wasn't one of the normal ones. Oxygen Mix is what it's called. So if you're looking for the icon pack I have, it's called Oxygen Mix. It's just like more of a modern-y Oxygen view. Of course, you'll see that the icons that are on the system are different from the Cairo dock. You can set it to use the system icons, or you can use it to set the theme icons. There's a lot of different themes you could do with this. I played with several of them. I really liked this. There was another one I really liked, but I could not get the stupid dock off of the bottom. It would throw two docks on the thing. I couldn't get it off of the bottom. I probably could have if I worked hard enough. But this one here, I loved how skeuomorphic it is. I love how it matches the Oxygen theme quite a bit. I just love how it looks. So very nice, very flashy system. So I'm going to be continuing to play with this for a little bit longer. Again, this guy here, 3 completely different desktop environments, Mate, Cinnamon, and KDE, which we're running now. And this is all running off of I think it's just a 32 gigabyte USB drive. I think that's all I'm running this guy off of. It is connected to my network without a problem. Of course, you have to install Cifs Utilities to do that, and then connect it with the fstab in the fstab file. Installed number locks, configured that, and I did install the pulse audio control just to see if I could resolve the resolving the volume issues. It appears that has not done it. So if anybody does know how I can resolve that, let me know. Otherwise, the system does have a lot more software on it than you would anticipate. A lot of that just has to do with the fact that there's 3 different desktop environments, and each one of them threw its own default applications on there. So it's a little bit more bloated than that. I guess the other thing I'll mention too, and this is something following up on the various web browsers out there. So I did the one video on web browsers. I did install Skype Beta as well. So I'm using Conqueror over here. I use Midori as the web browser that I use on... I use that one for my home cooking hacks on my Linux Mint computers, and it works great. But I could not get it working over here. Let me give it a try now that I have, now that I have the graphic drivers in. I'm not sure. I couldn't get logged in. You'd get to the first account screen. You'll see it'll just kind of hang. And that was the part that was annoying to me. So, although I really like Midori on my Linux Mint Cinnamon computers, it seems to be fairly non-functional on this one. So I'm using Conqueror for that principle here. Of course, when you load up Conqueror, then it wants to max out the volume, and that's excessively annoying. Let me just go to the Home Cooking Hacks one here. Let's see what it does. Even this one here is a little bit slower than the other browsers. Of course, here's my Home Cooking Hacks channel. Woohoo, we're up to 115 views. Go, go, go! I will hopefully be at least working on the pudding video tonight, and I will be recording tacos, my most famous cake, which I'm not going to unveil what it is yet. I will be talking about that and a few other things. So pretty much I'm going to be working on getting this channel booming up there as well. So anyway, this is my Debian build. It is a great system. I'm loving it. If you do want to run this, expect to fiddle with it a little bit. It's not quite as bad as fiddling with Fedora to get things working, but yeah, you'll have a few struggles you need to get resolved. And of course, the packages you want and all those types of things. What I could do is uninstall some of the software that I do not need and, free up a little bit of space and things like that. But hopefully this video was helpful. I'm loving it so far. This is so far a great computer. I just got to get that volume issue resolved. But with that being said, thanks for watching, everybody, and I hope that you enjoy switching to Linux.